It is 9 o'clock on Friday. And we are going to watch me struggle and flail around trying to implement a new feature into the Lemur UI toolkit that a lot of JMonkey engine users use. Trying to talk slow because I know sometimes the YouTube streaming will cut off some of the audio at the beginning. So anyway, we shall give it a try. So Lemur uses JMonkey engine's bitmap font, BitmapText, in its text component. So when we view, whenever there's a label or an edit field or whatever, it's this BitmapText. BitmapText uses the Angel code, bitmap font format. It's very common and popular. You can make it with a couple different tools. The problem is that a lot of users really would like, TTF font support, which is a little different. So a bitmap font, for those who don't know, has one big texture that's got all of the glyphs that you're going to have, the letters packed into it, along with a descriptor telling you where in that font, where in that texture each glyph is, and then it uses that to construct geometry that points to the texture and so on. Whereas TTF support would be just be able to directly support the fonts that are already on your operating system or other fonts that you might download in TTF format, but it generally requires like some dynamic rendering at runtime to build a similar texture, but it does that behind the scenes. At any rate, bitmap font's really simple, straightforward. JMonkey engine includes it natively, and so Lemur supports it natively. But a lot of folks have asked to have TTF support, and perhaps there's some other kinds of font supports people might want in the future. So we're going to add that kind of ability, and we're going to start at least. We'll see how far we get in an hour. I purposely did not really look into this much because I wanted to kind of like design it on the fly while we're here and show how I would tackle something like this, how I would start it. Now, it's a little unfair because I have insider knowledge and lots of experience here. But what oops, cancel. I hate that about Windows. When I'm trying to get some Windows set up here, in this one I've got the Lemur text component, which we'll use as the basis for whatever interface we create, and then I've got these classes open basically from the last live stream. I left them open so we can talk about that. But in order to compile, I'm going to want one window open that I can use to recompile Lemur itself, and that's what this one is. And then I want another one open that I can use to compile the Lemur examples. What we'll do is we'll run the demos. And demos, the way these are set up, the demos are set up to pull from your local repo. So that they require regular Lemur to have been built. They're not self-integrated. And so I need to make sure that it's using the latest Lemur version 1.16.1 snapshot or build Gradle 1.16.1 snapshot. Yeah, so literally I did nothing to prepare for this other than have those files open last week, and we kind of talked about what the approach would be. What I believe the approach will be is that GUI globals, which everybody uses to create materials and other things. I think text component will already use it. I actually don't know that. Perhaps we are. Yeah. So many of the components use it to load their textures and things. It's a nice way to just have like some static globals. GUI globals lets a user specify their own during initialization, so this could be extended, and we could just add a factory method here, but I think I'll add pluggable factory support. So whatever thing we're going to create, we'll add it here so that if a custom library wants to, they can just get whatever the current GUI global instance is and set their own factory. So we'll set that up. So what we want is also an overarching requirement in all of this would be that we don't want to break backwards compatibility with anything that might already be extending text component or using any of these methods directly. And that'll be the trickiest part, because if I was to write this from scratch, this would be what I'd name the interface that these other two things, and I would have a bitmap font text component, and somebody else could make a TTF font, because there's already been folks who've written that stuff. And so I won't get to use my favorite interface name, but we'll do what we can. So I think the name I've settled on in the little bit of thinking I've done on this is text2d. So it sort of encompasses what we're trying to do. So we'll call it, text2d.java. I did include the T. Yep. So we'll get the interface set up. Lemur component. And maybe we don't want it in here. Let's think about this. Where is colored component? Okay, so colored component is also here, so that's fair. Anybody using the components would have to import this package. And it's an interface we don't need logging. That's a bug in my template. And so, sorry, just taking a little drink there. I think where we'll start is seeing how label uses text component and make sure that we've at least supported that. So tonight I do want to get to the point where label is using this new text2d instead of text component directly. If I don't think there'll be time to do it for text entry, which is like for text fields, where you actually type the text in. That requires some more accessibility to the font to be able to find cursor positions and things, and that may be beyond the scope of this. I'm trying to keep this within the realm of being able to finish tonight. So first we'll go and we'll look. So label creates a text component right now. We will search for all the different things that it uses there. So it creates one. We'll use a factory for that soon. It sets the layer. Okay, all components I think can have their layer set. So let's pull up the component interface. I believe there's GUI component. GUI component will be over here. Yeah. So I think all of them already have, no, they do not have set layer. So set layer defined here. Yeah, okay, so we will need to support setting the layer. What do we use that for? Okay, so for any of the 2D stuff, yeah, so this is setting the layer comparator basically. JMonkey engine will sort its depending on what bucket it's in, but for GUI it will sort it back to front based on the Z value. For the 3D, it'll depend on whether it's opaque or transparent. It sorts things in different order based on distance from the camera, and sometimes you want to tightly control that, especially in 3D, where it can be a little inconsistent depending on the size of the object and how it's rotated towards the camera. Lemur adds this idea of a layer comparator, which lets you specify that basically the layer comparator will check the layer first and order them by layer, and then if they're in the same layer, it will order them by the normal. So that's what this is, and I think we will include that just to make our lives easier. There probably should be a separate interface for that. So we will need set layer. We'll copy the method definitions from here. So we'll do these. Actually, we can actually do a pretty good job of just cutting and pasting all these now that I think about it. Font will change. Font size will stay the same. Color we should get from extending colored component. And maybe we don't have to. I think probably, it's weird, set text size. Okay, so some of these are a little strange, but we'll move them over to here. First of all, we want this to implement a GUI component. A text2D is always going to be a GUI component. And for that, we got a core GUI component. Oh, it's got extend. Okay, so we'll put these methods in. Java doc them later, wink wink, nudge nudge. It's like watching paint dry. So just formatting these in interface style. I'll go back and add the semicolons in a second. Still faster than typing it all in. Okay, so set font's got to change. It's going to have to be set font name. Font size, yes, we still want that. That might be a little easier to implement. Set color, which we get from colored component, so we don't need to include that here. Alpha, I think, is also on colored component. Yep. So all colored components have alpha and color. I think we need offset, which for a component will set. So component stacks in Lemur, for anybody not familiar, let's look it up. You can go to Lemur Wiki and you look for through the docs. There actually is documentation. Not that one. Where's the where's the layering? I'm like not reading for containers and layouts. No, component layout. That's what it is. That's what I'm looking for. So the components can be stacked together. So like a button has, you know, a border and, you know, the icon and the text and you know, shadow text. They come in layers like this. And so you can stack a bunch of them together into one GUI element. And so a button has all these things. And we're implementing the text component that's used for both the label part and the shadow part. And so it has an offset because you can move it around within the field of this thing. And that's necessary to support shadows or even just certain kind of graphical features. I don't know why set text size, so let's check and see what that's used for, if anything. Nope, that label never calls it, so we don't need it. I don't know what it was there for. So let's go back and add all of these, because we're not programming in Groovy today. And I'll just like these grouped together. Set B alignment, yes, all those things we need. Okay, so do we still compile? And I'll go ahead and prep the daemons so that this will go faster next time. Let's see, do we have anybody else on? Just the one viewer. Oh yeah, so we need to all these other things we need. Wait. An IDE would have told me that, right? And we need that's it. Dum dum dum. The hard thing to support is I believe label has a set font directly on it. Yeah. So we'll only be able to support that in the in the special case. Hey, but it's not a stylable. It's interesting. Oh, we look up the style when we create it. That's why. Yeah, all this will have to change. Okay, and before we go too far, I want to run the demo and take some screenshots. So run the demo. So let's find one of these. Not text entry. Let's try word wrap. No, which one's got lots of stuff on it? Text alignment, so another good one. Yeah, so we can check text alignment, icons, and word wrap. Those will be some good ones to compare. I think that's good. Okay, so when we will go to check to make sure we haven't screwed anything up, we can go back and look at that demo. Yeah, okay. So we've got that. Got our interface. We need to make sure text component implements this interface. Oops, 2D lowercase d. It follows convention to use the lowercase d because there's a whole bunch of math classes and stuff that 2D lowercase d, even though this d doesn't mean the same thing. Okay. Oh, that's good. I think GUI globals lets me load fonts. I'm thinking about 5 different things at once here. Does it let me load font or just fix them? Nope, load font. Good. Okay, so because what you want, now that we implement the interface, we've got to support the brand new set font name, get font name. And well, first as we go through, I'll be a good boy and add my overrides. All the different things that we added. Oh wow, we're 20 minutes in already. Set max width. No, not set font. Set font size. While we're here. Oh wait, we gotta go back first. Okay, set color, get color, set alpha, get alpha. Yeah, so some of these I hadn't done before. Set offset, get offset, set. Nope, we didn't use that one. See, all these are also part of the component interface that we have never tagged with that override, so we'll go ahead and do that right now. Okay, then what we're going to do is add the set font name, and this is the tricky one that actually requires us to think a little bit. Maybe even pull up some Java doc, because okay, so if we had set the font, we would call set font GUI globals get instance load font name. And if we want to get it again, that's the part that's might be tricky. So we come over here to where I've got not that one. Oop, that one. And we look up bitmap font. Bitmap font. It's right there. Looking right at it. Does it have a get name? No, it it does not. It doesn't have a get key. Wow, bitmap font is awful. We get nothing. Yeah, see, every other loadable JMonkey Engine resource will provide information about the key that loaded it. That means this is not even a smart asset. Yeah. Bitmap font is one of the worst classes in JMonkey Engine as far as following form and things. Yeah, in fact, in here, I think when we set the font, we blow it away. Yeah, it's not even reusable, or something like that. We always have to recreate the bitmap text. You can't change the font of the bitmap text. It's good times, really. Oh, we don't even keep it around, so we'll have to keep the name around. And it just won't be supported in the old style. So, return font name. And since we got to do this, we'll be good citizens. Objects equals font name, this font name. Return this font name equals font name. Okay, so we've supported the new method, and it's ugly, but it works. And for get font, yeah, so basically get font name will just return null if they never set the font name, even if they've set a font. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it's got to be. It's the way it's got to be, because I'm not rewriting. I'm not rewriting bitmap font tonight. I do plan to rewrite it, but not tonight. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. What was that? Booping sound. Let's make sure the stream is still working. Yep. Okay. Alright. Nope. I got distracted. And oh, that's interesting. I did that in the wrong order. E, F, G, H. Okay, so now we should at least compile. That should be enough to start migrating. Come on. You can do it. Yep. Hopefully I'm not breathing into the mic again tonight. Alright. So next thing would be see, text 2D, and we will have to then make sure. Yeah, see, maybe text 2D should have come out here in the root. Because it's a little weird to. Anyway, this will work. All these, far-reaching decisions that I'm making on the fly here that will affect the API forever. Sure, why not? Where was it? Oh, here it is. So we'll let the is that the way that label is going to want to create it? It's got potentially the font already. Yes, 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 it is. Okay. And so what we want to do is we want to, if the factory is set, and not set, text factory equals null, throw new unsupported creation exception note text 2D factory and set. And I think for the text factory we're just going to use the built-in Java function stuff, so it'll be apply font name, and in here we'll create a default text factory implements function, takes a string, returns a BitmapText, right? Oh, no, text 2D. Font name. And so we will copy what text component right now is doing. Yeah, so if it's a different font, new text. So we just have to load the font. Get instance for the GUI global, load the font. Load font name, return new text component. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. We don't even have to be that fancy. Return new text component. Start with no text. User will set the text, and we will use the font we just loaded. Ta-da! Okay, so we have a default text factory. That will go up here. Oh, let's. While I'm thinking about it. Import the function. Private function. Oh, yep. From a string, we create the text 2D. Text factory equals new default text factory. Let's still compile. Oop, we need to also include text component. Yeah, so see, we would have pulled in things anyway. Yeah, looks like I have a bunch of warnings to fix someday. Yeah, unchecked exceptions. Alright, so we've got GUI global set up to create these now, and by default, if nobody sets a factory, it will create the text component that we've always had, which is good because we provided no way to set the factory. And before I forget to do that, I will do that right now. Set text factory function string text 2D text factory. This text factory equals text factory public get text factory return text factory. I think I actually have macros set up to create these getter setters, but sometimes it's quicker to type it than to remember what the macro is. Alright, so then label, just double check we still compile before we go into label. We should be able to replace text component. Everywhere it says text component, we ought to be able to say text 2D. So we'll replace all text component with text 2D. No. Sure. Actually, sure. We can't do that. We gotta fix that. We have to fix that. That's it. Okay, so then we can now add another. Okay, so it's interesting. we need to forward that, like we have a set font, get font here, font name, string, font name. So to make label compatible with this new way, we want to be able to do fonts by name instead of passing these bitmap font instances around, which is something I wish I had done. I think I mentioned that last live stream. Something I wish I had done originally anyway is to not have exposed bitmap font directly on here. We should have been using font name all along. So yeah, and so this is nice. We can just say text.set font name, and if shadow not equal null, shadow dot set font name, and then everywhere else we set font, we got to do this too. But for now, let's do return text get font name, and we are going to make this a stylable attribute, so that instead of in the Lemur style files, instead of having to pass bitmap fonts around, we can actually style by name, which would be good. That means if somebody creates TTF fonts and has a way to load those in a factory, then styling will automatically support TTF. And so we want to check everywhere that we've got set font and make sure that oh, just in those places. Cool, that works. And then here, when we create the text component, we want to check some different things. And similar for shadows. So let's look for shadow again. Shadow, we set the text. Where do we create shadow? Shadow. You know what? It's easier to just look for new text component. Everywhere there's a new text component, we have to replace it with the factory. Just there one. How do we get shadows then? I know that maybe we clone it. No, I don't know how we get the shadow component. It's weird. So we do have to look for shadow because I need to see how it's created. Magic, apparently. Okay, so if shadow color is set, we create one. Oh, and this is, I accidentally changed one to, that's why. This was originally text component. So everywhere we have to, you know what, I think instead of, we're going to make a internal factory method to kind of as an adapter, text 2D, create text 2D, because we have some logic we want to do. If the font name, we need to be able to set a font name without having text. Right? Yes. Because we might style a font name before we've ever created the actual text. Right. So then we'll be good citizens here too. If objects equals this dot font name. How we doing on time? 35 minutes. We might still make it. Return. We don't need to do it. This dot font name equals font name. If text is not equal to null, then we set the font name. And then down here, we can just return the font name. This is better. Okay, so the styling can set the font name. How's that work, though? That doesn't work. Because the object would have already been created. We're about to set the styles. And the styles might be setting This is a weird part of Lemur. This is, now I'm thinking about it. We always end up recreating the text component if we've used anything but the default font. And so we will always have the need to hit the default. So, we need to factor this in if no font has been specified. So essentially in GUI globals, so there's a whole chain I'm thinking of here. A text component's created, it creates its label before it even knows what font it's going to be. There's like a global default font based on type, not name. And so if they've given a null font name, then we need to look up the font in a different way. So font name is not equal to null. So we have bitmap font, that's fine. Take that here. Here, let me bring that to the center of the screen. So then that we can do the regular way. Else, we need to make the good old-fashioned kind. And users will have to deal with this too. They'll have to have a default font, and they can actually set their own global style. So if they had a special TTF font that class that they've made, they can set their own global font for that too. That's default. So this isn't so bad. I don't like it, but it's where we are, and there's really no choice. So now our default text factory, if it's given a null font name, we'll load the default font for the style. And we don't have to say GUI globals because we're already in GUI globals. Yeah, so whatever the style says its default bitmap font is, we'll load that. And then in label, we don't have to do it anymore. Things get a lot easier. We don't need this because so we don't need to worry about any of that anymore. I'm gonna scratch an itch on my head, sorry. So this .text, first we'll create a GUI globals get instance create text, and we'll pass it null as the font name because we don't know it yet. And so I'm just going to comment this out. Don't need any of that stuff anymore. Yeah, so see there was some attempt here. Yeah, no, see it's this, yeah. We have to have created it before we can set styles on it. That's all. That's just the way it is. So everywhere we've done a new text component, we have to do this instead. And I'm a fan of commenting code out while we work on it. So let's see what we broke. We might have finished. We got to get things to compile first. Cannot find symbol. GUI globals. Create text. Oh, what did I call it? What did I call it? Oh, create text 2D. All right. That makes sense, I guess. Okay, so we'll fix those, and we'll be a bunch of other. Yeah, okay. Some things I think, like, it would be nice if were imported by default kind of thing. I actually prefer these things to be in a different order than they are. Somehow we got style stuff sucked in. Okay. Styles, we don't have that. Oh, we don't know the style name. That is true. That is true. And we won't. All right. So we paint ourselves into a corner because that's what we do. And so we end up text factory. And I don't like text 2D factory, but I guess that'll work. So we have to make a custom factory. We can't get away with using the Java stuff because we need 2 parameters. I should have said interface, but that's okay. All right. Sorry, sometimes my hand goes numb and it doesn't do what I want until it stops being numb again. I don't know why, but it does. Okay, public. All right, so then we want to create one of those. Create text 2D. We need the style and the font name. Yeah, or font name style, style font name. Nope, we'll do style font name. And so in here, everywhere we've done this is now text 2D factory. I get trapped in this wanting to be overly general situation quite a bit, and like to the point where I've almost adopted just creating these custom factories by default, even if I make them extend the Java util factories and so on. But all right, okay, so now we have a style. We don't know element ID. Crap. So this is a good reason we have this. So style element ID. So we need, yeah, and we will do font name first. Element ID, and then element ID. So anyway, it's unfortunate, but because of the way we look up defaults, it's just probably the better option. Element ID makes me really uncomfortable here, but it is what it is. So then we flipped these around. So now it's font name. Anyway, I thought to myself, stop using the generic interfaces as APIs. And always make these custom interfaces because I always end up getting in trouble like this. But I kind of like to hold out hope that I can make the IDs work. Okay, so element ID, get ID. Yeah, so now we can do that. And if not, we just load the font, return the text component, and we've created it. That means everywhere we used this, instead of just create text 2D, oh, that's the other thing, is we can't just create the text 2D directly. This is where we really wanted it. Now we have to say font name, element ID, string, style. Alright, so if they know all that stuff, they have to check, this technically makes GUI globals itself a text 2D factory. Anyway, let me see if we compile now. But of course, never-ending imports. So GUI globals will be fine. Label originally looked up some styles. We will have to do that as well. We're almost there, guys. Oh, we got 15 minutes left if I want to keep this under an hour. Let's hurry up. Hurry up. Okay, so I get the styles. What is it talking about? Oh, label. Oh, yeah. It's over here that I messed up. We needed to look up the styles no matter what. And we need to... but we actually don't need it till... We don't need it till down here now. That's fine. Now we can't do this anymore with element ID style. That means we did this before. Now we need get element ID, get style. I think we're getting close. Oh yeah, I guess that font get font. But the and we need to get font name here. Okay. Text set font. Yeah, okay, so none of those things work anymore. Anywhere we did set font, we will have to do if text instance of text component. Then we can do that. Actually, we will do it separate. Just in case. If shadow instance of text component. So text component set font. And we'll do the same thing for shadow component. That'll also already tell if it's null or not, so but we'll do it like this, else throw new unsupported creation exception. This label is using the non font text 2D. Yeah, I struggle with whether to put punctuation in the exceptions or not. Okay. And so we need to do a similar thing here. Cut and paste coding. Yay for us. Okay, any other set fonts? So maybe we compile now. Getting close. Anybody else on the live stream? All one of you. Thanks for joining, the one person who is. Okay, so we replaced text component before and we needed to keep it for the backwards compatibility. So we should be close. Yay! Yeah, it's in JavaDoc now, so it finished that part. Okay, so that should all work. Was that everything? I mean, we didn't test styling and things, but we will see if I forgot anything. Run, continue. Yeah. Oh, I know what I forgot. See, this is why we do this, right? We test it. It don't work. Why doesn't it work? Because I create the things, but I don't actually set the text on them. See, before, setting the text was part of creating the text. And I could make the... gosh. You know, because bitmap font or BitmapText you have to create it when you set the font, and then so it's got to create with some text, right? Like if you look at this, the original text component here, it creates the bitmap text right in here and sets. Oh no, it sets the text separate. Okay, we'll do that then. We'll keep it. Never mind. It just means that we have to shadow set text, get text. Oh wait, yep. Because that's what we used to do, get text right there in the old code. That's why we keep it around for a little bit. And then here, same thing. We're past text, set text. I am losing the ability to type, so it's about time to wrap it up. Okay, so redo it. Almost done. And now we know it's working. I mean, that's the side effect, is that we know that the new code's being used. We haven't tested styling or any of that stuff, but maybe that'll be next week's job. I'll end up testing it over the week as I run Mythruna. Okay, so that's all working. Let's see, what were the things we... See, we did text alignment. Text alignment looks okay. We'll screenshot that. Did we do icon? Yes, I think we did. And then we did word wrap. Okay, so is everybody still working like they were? I remember checking. Well, new Mythruna is coming around. It's available for anybody who basically... Easiest way is to join the Discord. Otherwise, if you find a way to contact me, I'll send you a link. You can download the new engine as I play around with it. But we'll demo that in a second, because as I wrap this live stream up, I'm going to demo what I've been doing with the day-night cycle in the new engine. Okay, so we've got that. If we wanted to check, let's see, what screenshot? Okay, demo launcher. Okay, so there was, I wanted to start. There we go. There's the original demo launcher. And so we could actually pull up this one side by side, but not that one. This one side by side with this one. No, they are not the same. This one ends in 63, this one ends in 65, so they are different. But they look the same. The word wrap one's really going to be the telling one. Okay, so let's try this again. So let's check word wrap. Whoop. I just want it regular size. I'll bring it up side by side. Yep, they look the same. Okay, so we implemented the factory. The next thing would be to commit it. Yeah, sorry. So now that we've got that, so basically this is working. If I commit this, other users could. This also actually will bump up the version to 117 for GUI global for Lemur. But so I'll update the changelog because this will end up being 117. I gotta update the build and add the changelog entry and commit all this. Then do some other tests for styles and things like that. But anyway, Mythruna will end up testing it. So let me show you real quick, for those of you who have held out this long watching me type frantically into the computer. I did get it done in an hour though, so that's good. Let's see where we are with environment settings, day-night, hourly settings, and so on. Basically, I've got a Groovy scriptable API that lets me define the different tweens for different times of day. We're using a slightly smaller window than I normally use in here, just because then it lets me put it side by side with the text, or with the programmer's editor. So let's run with test 2. There's a lot of kind of placeholder stuff in at the moment. Yeah, so see, this is looking a little ugly right now. And the sun is red because I wanted to see the difference between the sun circle and the halo. I need to tone down that halo. That'll eventually, of course, be white almost, well, yellow almost white. But yeah, we've got real weird colors at the moment. But one of the things I can do in this engine is in sort of debug mode in single player, I can come in here and I can change I can pause and I can change the hours, and so I can see how the stuff. So if we go to midnight, which is what I was recently working on, basically I set different times a day, and then I look around, I see how things are looking. The next one is to set the ambient. I've got so there's a moon up there. See, hello moon. I've got the stars clipping at the horizon. That wasn't happening before. Next thing is to set ambient light, because at midnight it should be like near pitch black here. But basically, as we go through, I can set different, let's pull up the script that I'm editing. So this is my sort of, I can set different schedules. So this is the schedule for the star color. So it's a 24-hour clock for this one. The interpolation is whatever it does here, which is, interpolates between the start and the end and sets the star color. And then these are all at different times a day, at 1730, at 1800, at 1840. If we wanted to say at 0, maybe we want the stars to be red instead of white, we could go here and that'll change the star color to red. And it's really nice that I can do this at runtime. And if we were to run it forward, we would see that those stars would slowly fade to white as we get closer to daytime, because they're going to fade between the two colors I have set. So if I'm going to set these back to white. But anyway, so that's what this is doing. I have a bunch of different things that I can set. I think, like, I can set the phase of the moon. Let's roll time forward slightly. Yeah, let me change my point of view so we can see the moon a little better. Okay, so we've got the moon there. I can actually change the phases of the moon through one of these. I don't have a schedule set up for that yet, but I can set it directly too. So I can AMV, set moon phase. So I can try different things. So, oops. So set the moon phase to 1, or set it to, there's 25 moon phases. The moon, oh, no, there is a tween. There must be. Oh, it's my test. I have a test tween up here that's doing it. So if I was to change this to like 16, it'll change the phase of the moon. Oh, why is it not working? Oh, there it goes. Oh, I have it set every 30 minutes. That's why. Yeah, so see, it even moved it in the sky, because there will be movement of the moon in the sky as it enters its different phases. So if we ran through, 15, yeah, so we can set different, it's 10, oops. Yeah, so it's running through the different phases, up to 25. 25 is, or maybe it's, yeah, 0 through 24. Huh. That is not right. Okay, so that's the 0th phase, which is no moon at all. Oh yeah, okay. It's weird. So then 1 should be a little sliver. Where did it go? There it is. See the little sliver. Yeah, I originally was really disturbed by these bands. I don't know if you can see them on the YouTube video, but the sky has bands where the color changes. And it turns out this is related to the bloom settings, because if I turn off post-processing, it's supposed to go away. Usually went away. Anyway. So as we start to bring up get a little wider and moves in the sky. It's not moving correctly. Ooh. But so you see, we have different phases of the moon. It's kind of cool. I'm going to tilt it differently too, at different times of night, so that it quote unquote faces the sun. It's not a real moon in the sense that it doesn't revolve around the planet in a strange way. Add dithering in post, yeah. I think it has to do with how widely the gradient changes in this particular case, because I mostly don't notice it. If we went back to midnight, you can see like it's just mostly solid, so there's not a whole lot of change. Actually, you can see the geometry. It's interesting. Dark colors apparently in video have this problem though, so it may be just that it's the dark colors. If we run forward to daylight, we start to see the world come alive, and for some reason the red of the sunlight stuck around. Like all the light is tinted red. I was only recently adding the day-night settings for sunlight color. Yeah, so... Oh, there we go. That's why. This should have been like 1.2 and 1.1. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, more banding. So... this should be fine. Why is it still... Oh, because this is also the same. Yeah. Okay. Now we get regular daylight without the orange tint to it. And if we run back, it should be like normal light. It gets dark. And so see, someday, when the sun is colored right and that halo, this will all look like nice sunrise, little moon in the back. That's the other thing, is the moon and sun aren't synchronized properly, because the moon should be down below the horizon at this point. Otherwise the trick of using one directional light and just flipping it around won't work anymore. Although it kind of works okay here, because by the time the sun's coming up, the moon is casting almost no light. But so I have to work out all that, but we're getting there, and it means that I can sit here and tweak star colors at different times of day, and sun ambient colors and stuff at different times of day. And so slowly we zero in on something that looks all right. Hope you can send links. I don't know if YouTube lets you send links. If you're on our Discord, and if you're not on the Discord and you want to be, all you have to do is ask. You can send an email to pspeed at the domain is simsilica.com. I'm pretty sure I just avoided having spammers harvest that from the closed captioning that will come later. Yeah, okay. So yes, if you're not on our Discord, then you can get on the Discord and you can post links to stuff if you want. But yeah, just send me an email at simsilica.com. I'm pspeed, and PSPEED. And there's a sticky link there for downloading the last release of the latest Mythruna engine as well, the test build for the quote-unquote friends of Mythruna, which anybody who's on the Discord or has access to that link will know it's a password protected link, but anybody can have the password if they just ask right now. Anyway, so this is where I am, and this is what I'll be spending work on this weekend, is tweaking these colors, making the sun look right, and light at different times of day. This weekend I will be finished with the day-night cycle, whatever state it's in, because I need to work on other things for the Halloween release. But I wanted to at least get nighttime. And, you can't have a Halloween release without spooky nighttime And so here I put a light down here so that a lantern, so that it will cast light so we can see the difference between dark and night. Yes, you can PM me on Twitter as well. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That, yeah, if you don't want to send me an email, that's fine. Just, and you're on Twitter. I never know who's on what platform, and everybody has email. So, but yes, DMing me on Twitter is fine. Or if you just reply to me on Twitter and then I will DM you a link, that's fine too. But whatever the case. So thanks to all who joined. I think I'll wrap this one up. It's only 7 minutes over. Keep follow me in all the usual places if you don't follow me already. I hope this has been at least minorly entertaining, and we'll do this again next weekend. I'm not sure what the next Friday's stream will be. Perhaps we will tackle the text entry component, but I don't want to make too coding heavy. We'll see where we are in Mythruna development. Regardless, wherever we are, I will demo where I got with the day-night cycle and what I'm working on. Whatever else we do in the live stream. Hopefully I'll be developing something cool by then in Mythruna, and I can show that off. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining. Find my links online and go forth and have a great week. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. If you're working on games, be productive. Do some cool stuff. Post some screenshots. I'd love to see them. And I will see you guys online. Thanks. Time to end the stream. Streaming.